I was face up, eyes wide open. I was laying on top of a narrow table, maybe an operating table or something shaped like it. It was not a bed. The room I was in was in the basement with one of those small windows at foundation level as the only light source, allowing a sickly, pale half-light to poorly illuminate everything. Enough light to see, but not see well. Gray shadows everywhere. I would guess it was twilight outside, that eerie, sickly glow, right before dark that makes everything look like a horror movie setting for a few minutes every evening. The house that contained the room was one of those early 1960s brick ranches that were built en masse that now populates the vast majority of Midwest America. The room contained depressing, dark wood panel walls, along with boxes of junk stacked sloppily around this table I was laying upon. Think messy storage basement room, and you get the picture. At this time of my life, I was a middle schooler, a preteen in the normal world. I never had this room as my own, and I never ever spent any time in it. This scene unfolded around me in just moments as I lay there. I had no idea why I was doing this or how I got there. I was confused and a little creeped out. Standing up and leaving never really occurred to me. I was paralyzed but aware. I thought I was laying right there. Why completely escaped me at the time. I felt apprehensive and I knew something was going to happen. I had no idea what, but the angst was intense. Suddenly, I started to separate what I can only describe as spirit from body. I've never experienced this sort of sensation in my life. I floated above myself, spun around a few feet from my body, and just watched me focus on nothing, unmoving. The next thing that happened sent a shrill, sharp jolt of raw fear through my guts. My mouth began to open slowly and close. Then the worst thing of all happened next. I started to speak in a low-toned voice, much lower in pitch than what I can physically accomplish, and in a language that I did not know. I was fluently speaking and enunciating it. It was clear, concise, definitely not gibberish. Watching something else take over and speak through you is unlike anything I can describe with any eloquence. You see it in dozens of different movies today, but back then, I hadn't seen any of these sorts of movies to even have it as a point of reference. Being taken over and kicked out of your body was truly, completely petrifying. It's important to remember that I was paralyzed and could not tell that this wasn't actually happening to me. I had had nightmares or bizarre dreams before. I had not ever experienced this. It was not a dream, a nightmare. It was something much more tangible and much, much worse. My personal horror and tension only allowed for just moments before I ejected myself out of this nightmare's prison. And so it began. In the aftermath, it was 2 a.m. on a school night, but I flipped on every light in my room, grabbed a Bible, and started reading, though I had never in my life done that before. The panic stayed with me for a long time, so sleep never returned. I made the mistake of telling Mom about it a few days later, and her response was something I completely didn't expect. She instantly started crying uncontrollably and telling me, "He's trying to get you." This was in a lot of ways worse than the episode itself. She never really explained who he was or why he was trying to get me. I was too young to grasp that she was referring to a context of her own personal experience, something that never occurred to me to inquire at the time. My mom passed away, and the realization that she had her own story to tell only coalesced just recently. My mother died before I could ask her questions. Her sunken, haunted eyes and inability to sleep were something I now see very differently now that I'm much older. What is sleep paralysis? It's simple, direct, and accurate for what it is. If that's all it was, I wouldn't be talking about it. Wikipedia definition is more accurate, verbose. In short, you see things. Whether they're real or not, that's up for debate. For people with this condition, they're definitely real. For me, the rule of thumb to evaluate what's a nightmare versus sleep paralysis is conscious awareness and inability to move or act, coupled with the belief that it's actually happening. After suffering from this condition my entire life, I decided it was time that I finally did something that might help others that might be struggling as well. The medical label of sleep paralysis is a little too simplistic to accurately capture what this condition actually is and does to a person. Sleep paralysis is starting to gain more attention thanks to the decades of a vibrant internet. You can now hit any search engine and pull up a ton of information, videos, testimonials, as well as a lot of bad information on this condition. I thought for nearly 2 years what I could do that would be more compelling than writing a book or doing a blog. Books are great. I feel like as a society we've moved beyond simple words in a form. How do you share the isolated horror that goes on inside your head? A better way than YouTube. There's actually a documentary that was released in 2015 called The Nightmare. As of July 2016, it's still available on Netflix. The Nightmare documentary covers a wide range of experiences and will seem insane to normal people. Regardless, you should check it out. This goes without saying, but I will anyway. I'm not a psychologist, doctor, or therapist. I haven't done extensive study into sleep paralysis. What I can claim to be an authority on is my own sleep paralysis experiences. I started cataloging my condition a year ago and reading through the dozens of incidents, episodes. It seems so bizarre and disturbing in a way, just reading it from a documentation perspective. For now, I'll just provide a brief summary of what it's like for me. My sleep paralysis goes like this. When I have an episode, I can't tell that it's not real. I always wake up screaming at level 10 panic levels. It nearly always centers upon me laying in my bed and these experiences unfurling around me. I think I'm awake and yet have no control. Effectively, to me, it's real. Trauma comes from the intense emotional horror experienced during the episode. My fear ratchets up to a degree that it ejects me out of the episode. In my waking life, for those that know me, I'm sane, rational, calm, and many might say fearless. The contrast could not be more dramatic. And about me, I'll eventually tell my full story in a future video. I'll release videos of each of my personal sleep paralysis episodes. I think there might be some value to let other people see what I see. Maybe there are common themes with other sufferers. Last, a little over a year ago, I finally found some peace from the most unlikely of events. Also in future videos, I'll reveal my full story and what switch I flipped in myself to finally get that peace. I'd also like to hear other people's episodes. Maybe there's similar themes. Maybe we can make sense of it collectively. Maybe it could be therapeutic. Anyway, feel free to email me at icdemonsatnight@gmail.com. And thanks for watching.